Charlotte Soccer Show, John Hayes, Danny Brams. Cheers to you, Danny.
Back at a favorite spot, Johnny. Cheers to you. And for the first time in season 2, I think I'm drinking surf wax on the show. Let's go.
Cheers to that. I've got a Pilsner here at Burial Beer Company. And the reason why we're back here is because we were out once again at Atrium Health Performance Park at Charlotte FC headquarters. This time, though, Danny,
AKA the facility.
We had an opportunity to do our first Charlotte FC player interview. Now, you've heard Clay Dimmick, the captain for the Independents, on the show. You've heard A.O. Flanagan. You've heard Omar Cease. But finally,
the
Pac-Man as well, Austin Pack.
Right.
Finally, we have a Charlotte FC player on the show, Danny, and he inspired us to come over here and get a couple pints after the interview. Because he asked us, where's the pints? It's Scott Arfield, Danny. Scott Arfield's on this show.
The Scotsman joined us, and of course the conversation couldn't help but turn to pints by the end of it. And so he had to go, but we had a free afternoon to go get some pints.
So we're here. We're going to come back on the other side of this interview to talk about the big match against LAFC on Saturday night. But let's just get straight to it. Enjoy this interview with Charlotte FC midfielder Scott Arfield. All right, Danny, finally. We've got him here. We've got him in the flesh.
How long have we waited for this moment?
It's here. Scott Arfield. He's on the Charlotte Soccer Show. Scott, thanks so much for taking the time and joining us on the show today.
Thanks for having me, guys.
We've got a lot to talk to you about. First and foremost, we want to welcome you to the States and just talk about your experience making this transition, right? You're somebody who has Premier League experience, who has Champions League experience at the highest level. What's it been like to
can I throw in World Cup experience?
You certainly can.
I mean, you mind if I throw that in?
So, like, we're sitting here in town. We're watching you go through this experience. We want to hear it from the man himself. What's it been like?
Yeah, it's been amazing. It's been such a journey. If somebody says to me when I started at Falkirk at 17, 18, that you'd have a career like this, it's one that you've wanted in terms of, haven't been the most, with all due respect, under the most glamorous clubs. People don't look at the clubs in such glamour. Maybe Rangers, obviously, with the fan structure and stuff that they've got. However, like the Burnley thing was just amazing. It was fantastic. Myself and Ashley was there together, getting to play against all the players at the highest level and taking little things from everybody's game. And then obviously when you get to Rangers, the demand and the expectation on you propels you to a new level. And then obviously getting to the Champions League, which that was my dream as a kid, was always to get to England as quickly as possible and to play in the Champions League. So that was my thing. That was my thing. That my dad and my brother used to watch the Champions League. I don't know the connection, but my dad was a big Juventus fan, and we used to watch when Juventus was in the late 90s, when Juventus was Juventus, and we used to go around his house and watch that. So that was the Champions League nights and Tuesday and Wednesdays, and then playing in the competitions on a Tuesday and Wednesday just propelled me back 20 years for that time. So special moments. Yeah,
then it turns into a professional finish, bottom left-hand corner against Liverpool. I mean, like, think about that. That's
right.
It's insane to have experienced that and to bring that leadership and that experience to Charlotte FC. What's it like talking to the guys about that?
We've not really spoken about it.
Oh, really?
No, we've not really spoken about anything like that. No.
They don't care. What's these guys' problem? They haven't asked you about
listen,
it?
I'm not a bragger.
Okay.
They've not asked.
So, sure.
That's the thing. But these boys they're brilliant. They've been amazing. I've got such a young core of players as well. I've got experience. Probably got a young core, a middle core, and then we've got the older experience. So in terms of balance of the squad, it's been very strong, and hopefully you can put that into fruition in these remaining 11 games.
Well, you're not a bragger. That's great. But I think these guys need to hear some of the messages you have, because we got 11 games, like you just mentioned. We're sitting outside of the playoff positions we want to be in right now. We need points. We have 6 of the 11 are at home. We just got to win our home games and we're in, right? Is that the mentality? What's the mindset that you want everyone on this team to have for this last stretch?
Well, that's exactly what it is. Listen, you need to win games. And certainly since I've been here, we've done enough to win the games. It's just scoring at critical moments, and that's the difference, because in any league, particularly in this league, when it's transitions are more key in this league. So if you don't take them, someone's going to punish you, like the Miami games. And
it's a lot of end-to-end soccer in MLS, right? Especially the last 30 minutes of any match, and that's global. But like, have you seen that character of MLS come out different to the other leagues you've been in? Yeah,
definitely. And the players that score the most goals are the strikers, particularly in this league. They put so much money and so much emphasis on the strikers that the most important players are the forward players. So if you don't take your chances in your team, you know that there's a chance that this quality of the player, that the opposition you're playing against, is certainly going to take their chances. So it's scoring at critical moments, and hopefully that's what we're here for. We need to get to the playoffs. We need to win as many games as possible. You're talking about winning home games or winning 6 games. You want to win as many as you want. There's no minimum, and you want to win the 11 games and see where that takes you. But
certainly, win all 11. Yeah, why not?
Exactly. The minute you can have a goal, you can have a minimal goals and marginal gains, but the moment that you sort of don't look forward and you have a challenge and you exceed it, and then you've got the remaining 5 games. What do you do in there? Because you've already won the ones that you wanted to win. So you just keep going and try to exceed expectations.
So MLS play is back. There's 2 games here in the Queen City in the next week, which is awesome, not just for the club, but for the supporters around town. It's been a few weeks since the Necaxa match, where you scored your first goal as a Charlotte FC player. What was that feeling like? And even though the League's Cup run ended in a way that probably you guys saw yourself getting to the semis, maybe winning the first trophy in Charlotte FC history, there has to be some confidence coming out of that League's Cup run to take in to these next couple games, and you personally getting on the score sheet. How are you feeling now compared to a month ago?
No, absolutely. That's what you want to do. And I've said that every club that I've been to, you cannot have the emphasis on the striker scoring goals, because defenders look for them. So you need to find goals from anywhere, and that's predominantly through my career. That's what I've tried to do, to try and help the team as much as possible and take the pressure off the strikers. So to get on it, I probably was 3 or 4 days earlier in Dallas, where I scored and Carroll got on the way and it got chopped off. And I have to say, Messi scores the exact same goal. You tell me that's not offside.
Thank you.
You're preaching to the choir.
I'm glad you said it. If you didn't say it, I was going to say it. Yeah, 100%. In fact, it was it was chalked off for Messi live and then given to him on VAR. I think.
You can't have 2 different results. Yeah. So there you go. Anyway, it should have been 2 in a week. But
yes, right. That's right. We know.
But yeah, you want to go. You want to just keep going as much as you can and try and take the pressure off the strikers. So it was a wonderful feeling scoring my first goal, and the home goals are always better because you can hear the roar of the crowd. So yeah, wonderful.
We were lucky enough. That was the night that we were down in the vault, sort of like the right next to the field section of seats. We had a friend hooked us up with tickets to go down there. That's not our normal seats, and it was amazing. See, like that moment right at the end of the first half, just the crowd goes absolutely nuts. Like to feel that, and I want to know, like, what's your connection with the supporters already that you've we like to call the stadium the Fortress, sort of the royal theme with the For the Crown. So we call it the Fortress, the Castle, the Keep, and how do you connect with them?
First of all, Scott's somebody that grew up near Edinburgh, so he knows what it's like to protect the castle.
We have to educate people on that. We call it the Keep, and they're like, "What's a keep?" Read a book.
I get it. No, it's been amazing. I've really enjoyed it. Since I came here, I said this. I was training 3 weeks prior to my first game, so I had that 3-week block training with the players, getting to know them off the pitch as well as on the pitch. So it does take, even though you're doing that 3 week, it does take time when you're in game situations, and you've got a team against you that's desperate to win as well. So it does take time, and in the Necaxa, you want to score your first goal, so you've done that. So then there's new goals to get the next goal and to keep playing and to keep helping the team as much as possible. But yeah, I've really enjoyed myself here so far. My kids are really enjoying it. They start school next week, so yeah, it's been really good.
I want to ask, we're talking about scoring goals. What's the origin of the salute celebration? I love that it's really cool. It's fun to do. We can all do it as fans. There's an emoji for it, which is great, obviously in the digital world. And then what do you think of Hani Mukhtar, the MLS MVP last year, who also does the same thing? Why did you let him steal that from you? Did he ask to borrow that? I don't know.
I think he must watch Scottish football.
Yeah, he must. Yeah. He is German. Yeah, there you go.
But actually all started with my assistant manager, Tommy Colshaw. who was Gerrard's assistant, and he used to call me the Mountie, obviously with a Canadian connection. And for some reason I walked through the door and his little Scouse accent, he called me the Mountie, and I just done it in the middle of the canteen before breakfast one day. And then I always wanted something prior to it. I didn't know what it was going to be, because obviously the fan base and stuff, I thought this would be amazing to have this little thing, and it just gathered momentum. I remember a player, Jean-Claude Darcheville, done something similar as a Rangers player, and it caught on, all the kids. And then luckily my kids are at an age now where they see similar little kids doing the same thing when they see me, and they think it's incredible that Daddy's got this little thing. So it really has. I scored my first goal in Spain against Villarreal in Europa League, and then the stadium was so high that it looked as if I was just looking for the fans. But that was my first night that the salute was on show, and I just caught on. And one half of the city in Glasgow despise it, the other half love it. That's just what Scotland is, and it is what it is, and it's a nice wee celebration. Yeah,
I'm not surprised in the Europa League that they would stick the away supporters way up in the top. Those matches can get a little crazy in that league. It's a great league. I enjoy Europa League. It must have been an amazing experience playing across Europe. But one thing that we love to do on the show is we like to, we talk tactics, and we want to get into the midfield conversation just briefly before learning about you a little bit more, and just kind of the idea of this midfield partnership that is seemingly bubbling to the surface between Ashley Westwood, of course, and Brant Bronico, and you playing in the middle there. What's that like in training on a day-to-day basis? What's the competition like with those guys?
Yeah, amazing, brilliant. Obviously we've got Brecht in there now who's coming in. Ben Bender can play in. He's played wide against Miami, but he can certainly play in the middle of the pitch. And in any successful team you need competition. That's, you cannot have a set players that have a divine right to play. Obviously the captain might be a little bit different. In this case it's Ashley, but you cannot think that your jersey is always yours, because that's when you obviously get in that self benefit of not playing, and then next minute you're out, and then it just doesn't work for the dynamic of the team. So certainly in competition on a daily basis it's been brilliant. I didn't know much about Brant. We had a mutual friend in Matt Polster who's at New England, who came to Glasgow and played with Brant in Chicago, so he reached out to me prior to coming here to talk about Brant. But certainly surprised me in so many games that we've played together, even in training, so comfortable in the ball. His work ethic, his drive and his willingness to win is fantastic. And obviously Ashley, I knew prior to coming here how good he was. Ashley's skills is on the ball when he can really dictate a game, and I'm probably a little bit in between, where I'm not really that bothered about touching the ball as many times. I just want to get forward and help the striker as much as possible. Sometimes you can get a little bit more involved, and sometimes you can't. That's just the position that the manager wants you to play, and I'm more than happy to keep doing that to help the team.
The phrase that comes to mind, and I love a player like this, a midfield player specifically, that's not afraid to bomb into the box, right? You don't have the ball, you're not on the ball, let's make a run, let's get into the mixer and see what happens. And it takes somebody with confidence to be in that position.
Absolutely. Listen, I've seen so many players over the years that get the ball and pass it 5 yards, and they might have 100 passes and 100% record and successful rate, but what is that?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's
totally.
It might play a pivotal role in the team. It might be
activity without achievement.
Yeah, and it might be good to move it, but when it's not, and it's just passing for the sake of passing, I'd rather play a little bit different. And thankfully, there's a manager here that wants me to play like that. And through my career, I've been lucky enough to have the managers that sort of let me have the freedom. But then to have the freedom, you need to know that you're secure with somebody behind you like Ashley and Brant as well.
There's something about a Scotsman saying the word freedom that really does it for me.
Oh man, I'm seeing the Mel Gibson gift for sure. For sure. I should paint. I want to paint my place blue now. I want to ask you. You mentioned earlier as we were talking, you said maybe I didn't play for the most high glamour clubs like Burnley or whatever. But Burnley, you were there at a time when it was a really cool project. It was a club that was promoting it, that was growing, that was getting better. Like, you were part of a project to get from Championship to Premier League and succeed and stay and sustain in the Premier League. Similar to where we're at now, we're a new club. We're trying to make a name for ourselves and establish ourselves. Do you feel any link in the energy of like the rising nature of Burnley while you were there with what you've got here at Charlotte?
Absolutely, very similar in terms of you're almost underdog, try to overtake it, and I love that feeling. As I say, with Rangers, it was so massive that even in America there's like you've probably seen with the Charlotte stuff, there's fans of Rangers everywhere. The club is absolutely
people will meet up at 7 a.m. to go watch a Rangers match at a local club.
You know, I feel such a privilege and a pleasure to be able to represent that club. Falkirk was a little club in Scotland where I first had my debut season when I first broke through. Loved it as well, gave them a chance, my opportunity. Hopefully one day I can go back there and play there and sort of finish the career. And then Huddersfield was down in a little village sort of town in the middle of England, similar to Burnley. So, but in these little towns and villages, they only care about one team. Mm-hmm. They don't care about your Manchester Uniteds and your Cities. They care about their team, and their team is who you need to represent. So when you're in there, you actually feel as if the clubs are bigger than anybody else, because they're not bothered about anybody else. So it was an amazing sort of connection that I had with the Huddersfield fans and the Burnley fans, where you know you're taking on, especially when we get to the Premier League after we get promoted in the first year. You get to the Premier League and then you're playing against the big boys, and the big boys are coming to town, and you know they didn't like it. You know, we went down in the first year. There were certain times in that year that we never. I don't think we won our first 10 games in the first season back in the Premier League. I think we had a couple of draws, and then that start really reeled us off to relegation. And then the next year when we won the Championship, the momentum went, and then we really made a mark in it. I think we ended up finishing 7th 2 years later in the Premier League. So once you get momentum and once you get a full crowd into it, it's almost unstoppable to stop, and that's what I feel like Charlotte's got at this minute in time, with the fan base and everybody, the new franchise. You know, the love for the game's coming into America, which, you know, more and more kids really want to be soccer players now, and this is an amazing time to have this franchise in this place, in this city. And you know, it's only a matter of time before you start getting attendances that the Panther games are getting, because you know the fan base will keep growing, and we'll look back at this, and hopefully we'll look back at this in very fondness at the start of something great.
Saturday night, the upper deck is open. The vibe of the stadium is going to be amazing. Yeah. Love when the club decides to open the upper deck.
There'll be 40K plus.
There's been a few times where Dan and I have been walking in when the upper deck was open, and we were just like, hey, you know, what's the situation going to be like? Is there going to be a lot of people up there? And every time we get in the building, we go, man, the supporters just absolutely show up for this squad on a Saturday night too. It's been hot around town. There's no doubt about that. But these nighttime kickoffs make it, I think, bearable for the fans, and probably much easier for y'all to play as well.
And I think it's important to say as well, like how important and testament to the media team. You know how much work they do to try and bring the fans in, because as players, if you've got a capacity stadium that's 70,000 plus, you don't want to really. Obviously, we're very privileged to be playing in front of 40,000+, but if you've got a 70,000 capacity, you want to fill that. You want to play as much in front of people's eyes as possible. So testament to the media team that when you get this and you keep driving the messages, and you've got kids that really is in awe and really wants to be part of this club, then that's the most important thing.
If things go right, we'll have 70 on October 20th when that little Argentinian cheater comes to town, I'm sure.
What's his name?
I don't know. He scored some goal that we mentioned earlier. Nice. I wanted to ask you, I know you got to go, but thank you so much for the generosity with your time.
We got to talk music. Are you going to talk
You're a huge
music?
musician. You play guitar. You're famously on the internet serenading your buddy at his wedding. When can we go to a Scott Arfield concert around Charlotte?
Have you got a gig? Do you have a venue?
We can get you a gig. I'm not sure if it pays, but we can get you a gig.
No, I don't want money. Exactly. Just a couple of beers.
We can do that.
What do you think of the American music scene? Like, what kind of music are you into? What are you listening to right now? What are you playing right now? Like, let's just talk about your personality and your music a little bit.
Well, I started in indie music, and I've had this conversation. So the indie music in the UK is a little bit different. It's a little bit genreified differently. So it was like the Arctic Monkeys, Oasis, the Smiths, even the Beatles back then was was the View, the Rifles.
4 bands I love,
exactly. So all these sort of bands and musicians would really, really grab me. I was actually into rap music, ironically, right at the start. From probably about 12 to 14, I went to a music shop and I bought a two-pack poster from my bedroom wall, and then I done that, and then my brother put on the Arctic Monkeys, I Bet You Look Good in the Dance Floor, and that was the first time that I heard something. And I've heard my uncles and my aunties and my father saying, when you hear music, you know you love music. And that was the first time. I think it might have been maybe 15, 16 at the time, and my brother put this on. He was having a party next door, and he put this song on, and then something just, it was a guitar music, and then that was my moment of, right, this is what I love. So from there, that's
such a good album. A Certain Romance, best song ever.
Incredible. That's actually one of my favourites to play as
Terrific.
well.
Yeah.
And incredible. So that was my first love for proper love for music, and then I just spiraled. And then my brother was the bassist, my best mate Liam Corbett, he's the guitarist, and then we got a drummer. We started writing our own music, one that I've actually got tattooed here, and we went on a few gigs, and then I had an ultimatum at Falkirk, and the coach came into me and that basically says to me, do you want to be a musician or do you want to be a football player, a soccer player? So I went back to my brother, and my brother couldn't believe that I was actually asking, and he, can I swear on this podcast?
Oh yes, please.
Oh, can you?
Please
he says, are you fucking joking? And I says, yes. I says, are we going to have a good go? And he says, no, you need to play football. So I went to play football. Thankfully it's paid off at the end. And then the band started to keep going, and then they ended up playing with some big bands around the UK, supporting festivals, and done really well for themselves. Wrote a few albums themselves. And
so you would have been successful either way, basically.
Well, my brother came off the bass and he started singing. So he's always told me that he propelled the band into stardom. Yeah. So, but me and my brother and all my mates are musicians. I've probably only got, probably 5 or 6 real friends in soccer, and then the rest of them are all musicians, so they're all sort of creative, and that's what I love most.
He's a creative mind, clearly, and he's creative in the midfield as well. You might not be able to connect those dots, but when you start to think about it, you realize the creativity that it takes to be a musician and the creativity that it takes to play in the midfield. There's something there where you're somewhat singing the same song.
It's also the guitar playing is such a beautiful blend of technicality plus emotionality, and I think that applies to a soccer pitch as well.
Absolutely, couldn't agree with you more.
It's the Charlotte Soccer Show. John Hayes, Danny Brams, and Scott Arfield. Danny, he's on the show. It's been a pleasure to meet you. It's been a pleasure to have you. Good luck this weekend. And these run of games coming up, we're going to be watching. I know the Tifos, we call them the tremendous friends of the show. They're going to be excited to get to know you a little bit and then watch you finish out this season. We wish you nothing but the best. Thanks for coming.
Wonderful, guys. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoy the rest of the season.
Cheers.
Cheers.
We do wonderful things together.
And next time we'll have some pints.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Because that is the theme of our show. We didn't know if we were allowed to bring beers to the facility. All right, Danny, it's in the books.
What do you think?
The first ever interview with the Charlotte FC player on the show. And
what do you think?
We got 20 minutes of Scott's time, face to face. Was able to look him right in the eye. And what I'll say about the interview, just aside from all the awesome answers he had to our questions, he was unbelievably engaged in that conversation. Right? He came into the room, he lit up the room. He was fascinated to hear what our questions were, and very excited to get to know us a little bit, which I thought was great. And you should have seen him, Danny, when you started to talk to him about music at the end there. I mean, he lit up. He was a musician turned soccer player. Pretty cool guy.
I mean, think about it, man. These guys talk about their trade every single time a microphone is put in front of them. And for us to get the privilege to be able to go and meet one of the guys who's representing our club that we're all part of. We're not fans of this club, we are this club. And we are represented on the pitch through the squad, and to have a squad member sit down and take some time to talk with us, there's no way I was going to just ask him a bunch of boring questions that he's already been asked before about his job. I want to know who he is a little bit as well. And you're right, his eyes lit up when the conversation turned to music and talk about Arctic Monkeys. I absolutely love, I bet that you look good on the dance floor. I don't know if you're looking for romance, or I don't know what you're looking for.
Make sure you get that on the pregame playlist on Saturday night.
It better be. I mean, if Scotty wants it, man. Scotty does know. And we didn't get talking about Scotty Doesn't Know, which is a music, the link was there, but we ran out of time. We probably would have got there. But that's him. And I'm going to cheer for him even that much harder now. I'm always going to cheer for our guys, but knowing what Scotty Arfield is as a person now a little bit more, and hopefully translating what we witnessed in that interview room through the magic of audio to all the people who are able to listen to the interview. I hope that he just picked up a huge chunk of a new sort of diehard fan base within Charlotte FC.
Well, there's a few things that stuck out to me. I'm going to ask what stuck out to you, and I'm going to start with first just the experience, right? I wanted to underscore the experience that Scott has in Europe and now here in the United States, because ultimately I think that's so important down the stretch of this season. But specifically what I wanted to call out, and we got into this a little bit, Scott being part of the promotion side from Burnley in the Championship to the Premier League. He was also in Huddersfield when Huddersfield was in League One and then got promoted into the Championship. Right. He's qualified for Europa competitions, Champions League competitions. This is somebody who seems to be followed by success.
And you know how you have that success in the game, in the world of soccer, is you win games that you must win. And we face 11 games where every single one of them is a must win. I mean, we can't afford to lose at this point. You can clarify however you want. But I thought you talk about things that stood out. How about me saying, Scott, I mean, is it just a win all the home games and we're going to be good type thing? He's like, no, we're going to go win every single one of the 11 games, you idiot. Like, I loved that. It was like, he was like, why would we limit ourselves to a mid-tier goal when we have 11 opportunities to go get 3 points? Let's go get 33 points and host a home playoff game and tell the rest to leave to can I swear on this pod? Fuck off.
Yes, 100%. I love that question. The answer to that is always yes. That's why there's an explicit logo next to our podcast in the Apple.
But we do have
App
some
Store.
kids listeners.
Yes,
we do have some kids. So
somebody's got to teach them.
Shout out to progressive parenting. I tell my daughter, I don't care. I'm not trying to teach you to not swear. I'm teaching you to swear effectively. So there you go.
The other thing that stood out to me, I thought this was really, really interesting, right? Because I basically named my first choice midfield to Scott, right? I was like, so you got a midfield partnership with Brant Bronico and Ashley Westwood. How's that going? And he's like, well, don't forget about Brecht and Ben Bender.
He immediately started talking about competition. That was great. Yeah.
So like that, my ears perked when he started to talk about the guys that I didn't even mention. And I think that puts into perspective that there really is right now 5 guys on this squad playing for 3 midfield spots. And that competition, I think, is healthy.
You're over the Bender wing experiment from a couple games ago.
Well, he even mentioned that. Arfield said, well, he played out in the wing in that game. And I think, Arfield noticed that because I think most people, when they saw that lineup choice by Latanzio, were like, huh?
Yeah. That was a man I wish Gaines was healthy to spot for sure.
Right. The Gaines just offering the pace that he does.
He would have been much more dangerous to Miami.
But I just think that as we sit here and we enjoy this pint on the back patio at Burial Beer Company, it's a day that
you take your car to work, I'll take my board, man. Surf Wax America, let's go.
It's a day that, and it's an afternoon, and it's a weekend. We're about to ride the wave into the weekend. That's what we're about to do. And this wave is coming, and there's nothing that we can do to stop it. There's nothing this club can do to stop it.
Right.
There's nothing that the supporters can do to stop it. We're talking about the most important stretch of games in club history right now.
So when folks are listening to this, by the time folks are listening to this, within the next 7 days or less, we will have had 2 home matches. And we have a chance to drastically reshape the entire playoff picture. The table can be completely flipped on its head if we can go out and get 6 points from the next 2 home matches. I'm going to keep stressing home matches. We haven't been good at home this year, but we protected the fortress and defended the keep last year much better. We can recapture that.
6 points by next Wednesday at 11 p.m. just absolutely takes this season and puts it into hyperdrive, Danny. It absolutely does.
I know you got to take them one at a time, but you can't help but see the opportunity of that pairing of matches.
And typically, you've heard us talk about a 6-point Saturday. But we're looking for 6 points over the span of 7 days. This time around.
6-point week.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think ultimately what I want to do, Danny, is I just want to thank everyone at the club for making Scott available to us to join this show, to have a real honest conversation with him, not only just about his time at Charlotte FC, but about his time in Europe as well, because I think that's really important, and to get to know him a little bit as a person. And I think there's been a real effort by the club and its staff to maybe get some of these players out there right now in a way that they haven't really been before.
Right. I agree. You're seeing it in all formats and all avenues of media. You're seeing more interviews popping around, and I think if I'm honest, I think that's a direct result of the move into the facility, Atrium Health Performance Park. If you want to be formal, if you know, I like to keep it casual, but having everyone in that one office gets brainstorming, gets people looking at each other. Let's say someone that works as, you know, in the communications department but doesn't run the communications department has an idea, like, oh, we should get a local podcast involved with talking to our players, but they're not in the same office as their boss, and they have to wait for the next Zoom meeting, and they don't get a chance to bring it up, and all that. So just like having everyone in that same facility, as much as we all love remote work and we all try to find that beautiful hybrid in office, out of office in our lives, for those that do work office jobs, it's been kind of the theme of the last few years. There's something to be said for getting everybody under one roof so you can bounce ideas off each other.
So there's one thing that we haven't really spoken about when it comes to LAFC in this match on Saturday, is that they're playing tonight. We're talking on a Wednesday afternoon. LAFC is playing at home tonight against Colorado, getting on a flight on the next couple days to come all the way across the country to play at Charlotte in a game that these players right now are not even thinking about, and this is a game that means everything to Charlotte FC.
Great point.
I would really venture to say that I think there's been one place, and the numbers would back this up, I don't have the numbers here, but when Charlotte FC hosts a team that has had less time to prepare than they have, typically Charlotte FC performs well in that match.
I believe we're undefeated in that situation. And if someone knows different, that's fine, but I believe we're undefeated in that situation. I love the identification of that dynamic. Not to mention, just being real about it, this is not a cause for celebration whatsoever, but these LA guys just got hurricaned on. I mean, they're dealing with, like, issues in their real lives. They're flying to Colorado, they're flying to Charlotte. Like, this is the time to play them. We don't know if Carlos Vela is going to be available. We'll know more after the Colorado. We don't know anything about their availability because they have another game before they even play us, like you said. The difference in the preparation for these two teams has to make Charlotte the favorite, in my opinion. Even though LAFC is, on paper, talent-wise, a better team than we are, we have to go in expecting 3 points out of this game. We just have to.
Looking up whether to see an early number has been posted on this match, and I think the early number kind of reflects exactly what you're talking about. Charlotte FC not quite the favorite. LAFC plus 145 right now. Charlotte FC plus 175, a draw at plus 240. That signals to me that the handicappers are looking at this match as a 50-50 proposition.
Toss-up, LAFC is a better team, but it's a 50-50 toss-up.
Right.
And we need it. We desperately need it. So, like, it's put up or shut up time in terms of, you know, what these players can accomplish. We've heard so many great things. You know what I'm saying? Like, in all the ups and downs of this year, I mean, you think about what this team has gone through since January. We all know the litany of events. We hear the talk has been good. They're always saying the right things. There's never been any controversial in 2023. There's never been any, like, statement that I can think of that pops out that's like, I can't believe this Charlotte player / executive / coach / representative said this crazy thing. I mean, the one, except for the thing about Latanzio saying we were not compact enough. But, you know.
Well, there was a couple weeks there, Danny, when you, like, legitimately couldn't stop over analyzing everything that Christian
Sure,
Latanzio
but that's
said.
My own, like, personal kink.
Yes.
That's like my own thing, you know.
Right.
Like, that's not like those quotes weren't making waves on even a regional scale, much less national. So what I'm saying is, all I'm saying is that Charlotte FC players and coaches and executives and reps and everyone has always said the right things in the terms of all the adversity we faced and the struggles. The right thing has been said all the time. And what I'm saying is, talk only gets you so far. You have to go out and beat LAFC on Saturday.
Another point that I want to bring up about LAFC, because, you know, when I think about LAFC, I think of the class of MLS.
Right.
A
model franchise, defending champions.
Exactly. And through 23 games, LAFC has accumulated 37 points, which gets them second place in the West. If LAFC had 37 points in the East, that would put them in the 8th place play-in game position.
That's insane. That is the problem.
This is something that I've been monitoring.
That's one of the most insightful things that's been said in 6 or 7 weeks on the podcast.
I've been monitoring this.
I salute you for bringing that up, because that is such a great point. And also, guess who's leading the West right now? Tell us, John.
Well, the inaugural St. Louis City.
The West is a
FC.
mess. The West sucks, basically, is what you're telling me. You just look at the East. The East is so much tougher. I totally agree.
Seattle is sitting 4th in the West and just got their doors blown off by Atlanta at home.
And most people would say Atlanta is not that good. And so my question is, where would our points total put us in the West, I wonder?
So Charlotte FC would put at 26 points. They would put him about the same spot. But
fighting fewer teams, I think.
But it's much more jumbled at that point. Charlotte FC sitting with 26 points at the moment would be 5 points out of the 9th position, which is almost exactly where they are, 6 points out of the East position. My point is...
Ifs and nuts, I get it. Like, we're not trying to, disprove a hypothetical, but what is your point?
The point is that the West is not as top-heavy as the East.
Right.
It's from 1 to 10 in the West, it's very similar. I really do think in the East, when you're talking about Cincinnati, Philadelphia, Orlando, right? I think you're talking about New England, who's got 43 points right now. New England is they're losing their goalkeeper, though. Could be a huge loss for them.
One of the teams we face.
It's a huge opportunity. So I really am hopeful. I'm optimistic. I feel good. I feel like Christian Latanzio, Danny. I think he has a full squad to pick from for the most part heading into this match Saturday night.
So I agree. Strangely, though, just examining my own feelings.
Yep.
I'm not that optimistic. I'm actually kind of like, man, I don't know if we can do it. Like, I'm very cognizant of the stakes, and I know what needs to be done, and I feel like I can effectively frame it for listeners to the show. But what I can't do is believe that we can actually pull this off. I gotta admit, I don't know.
Yeah. So who are you looking at for LAFC on Saturday? Like, who are the key players on LAFC that this team needs to be aware of at all times?
It's definitely number 99, Dennis Buenga. Like, he is the guy. Came over to them. He's the guy that I one time on the show I think lamented that he was signed 3 days after we signed Nuno Santos last summer, and obviously different levels. He's a DP for LA and all that. We didn't have a DP slot available necessarily, or maybe we did actually. We could have made one. Anyway, Dennis Buenga is like a beast for LAFC, and so he is a guy that for the first 6 weeks of the season and during CONCACAF Champions League, he dominated for LAFC and got them out to a great start. And then he had kind of a little bit of a dip in form. He kind of hit a lull, but then now through Leagues Cup, he got his mojo back, and it's this guy's pulling all the strings, running the show for LAFC. LAFC traditionally has relied on Carlos Vela, obviously the great all-time great MLS, maybe the best Mexican player that's ever played in MLS. Maybe you can people old school MLSers can fight me on that, but Vela's great, and he's kind of up and down this year. He has his moments, but he misses a lot of games for injury now. He's he's wishy-washy on if he's going to retire at the end of the season. So Vela can hurt us at any given time, but he's not necessarily the guy that we super have to stop. It's Dennis Buenga for sure.
So if you want to do some research, if you're listening to this before the match on Wednesday night, which if you are, good for you, because I'm not going to publish this until Wednesday night at 9 o'clock. So
then you qualify for Super Tifo status.
So if you are on Thursday or Friday or Saturday morning wanting to get a feel, make sure that you go on the Apple app, go into the MLS package, and rewatch the match Wednesday night, and get a feel for what this team is going to bring to the keep, and start to understand what realistically, because I think LAFC has this aura around its club. I think you say those 4 letters out loud, and you feel like you're going up against really, really difficult.
The black and gold,
right? Really, you know how
it doesn't hurt. It doesn't help that they beat us 5-0 in LA last year. Shout out Brett Thompson for going to that match.
Yeah, I mean, a tremendous Tifos went there and took it on the chin, and he came back a better man.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. So I think there's a lot of nuance when it comes to this match on Saturday, and I've got to say, just my sense of the situation, and this is nothing but gut. This is nothing but true vibe.
Give us the gut.
Is that I with the upper deck open, this atmosphere on Saturday night is going to be electric, and I think that it's going to will this team into 3 points. At the worst case scenario, 1 point. I think a draw could legitimately be on the table here. It's something that this team does a lot. But they just need an extra push in that final 10 minutes and a sub to come on in that final 20 minutes to give us that game-winning goal. I think it might be 1-1 in the 65th minute.
When you said the word draw, I started like physically shaking and like vibrating over here. I'm like, I'm triggered. Like I became the triggered GIF, you know. Like
I think there's this game. This game is gonna. You know when the football cliche, late in the game when they say something like, "There's everything left to play for in this match." I think that's going to happen in this match around the 70th minute. I think that it's going to be so far from being decided. I think we're looking at a 1-1 game in the second half, and we're going to figure out kind of who on Charlotte FC wants to step up and get that game-winning goal.
I mean, it sounds like a great value proposition for my entertainment dollar, but it doesn't sound good for my heart. So I don't know. We'll see. I love it. If we can do it, if we do beat LAFC, I promise I will get back on board. I'll be all in to go beat Orlando. I'm just a little. I need this team to show me something on the pitch, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just at this point where, like, I feel like I can honestly self-assess and be like, I've done my part. I've given my belief to this squad, but I need to see a little bit coming back in the result to continue to do so. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. And what I'm trying to go back and see, Danny, is I'm trying to go back and see exactly when that Necaxa match was.
I'm going to say 3 weeks ago-ish. I don't know. Time passes strangely in the summertime.
No, it was more than 3 weeks ago.
It was a hell of a long time ago for sure. I do know that it's the season's a marathon, not a sprint. I think that's one of the things we stressed at the beginning of this year, right? When we were doing episodes in February, we were like, hey, marathon, not a sprint, marathon, not a sprint. And it's true, because we've talked, from some of our conversations that we've had with people when we were at the facility today, in terms of like the grind of squeezing this Leagues Cup into the MLS schedule and more midweek games than ever, and the fact that like we're off for 3 weeks and then we play 3 games in 1 week and stuff like that. It's just
4
really
weeks.
Weird. 4 weeks.
4 weeks since, and that's I wanted to bring that up. It was July 29th, Saturday night, July 29th. And I wanted to bring that up because it's been 4 weeks since Charlotte FC has taken the pitch at home, and I feel like there's been this buzz building around this club and its Leagues Cup magical run. Yeah, you got knocked out by Messi in the quarterfinals, and that's fine. Right. And that's fine. That happens. Everybody else got knocked out by Messi and Inter Miami too.
But we went and won 2 knockout games in a row. And that matters. Every
single soccer soul in this city who is itching for Charlotte FC is going to show up on Saturday night. And I think that we could possibly have the best atmosphere of the season. I do.
Your lips to Karol Swiderski's ears, my friend.
How about you give us an update on Karol Swiderski and the transfer rumors?
Karol, I'm going to predict in false, I'm going to puff out my chest and say with, a little less than a week to go in the European transfer window, September 1st is when it closes, I believe. I think Karol stays. There was talk, there's been chatter about Salernitana. Salernitana 1919, I believe, is their formal name. Some bullshit Italian club that no one cares about, that happens to be managed by the former manager of the Polish national team who loves Karol Swiderski. This guy Sousa, he got fired by Poland after they bombed out of the World Cup, and now he manages this shit third-tier Serie A
Hearing
team.
you say that makes me think that it's more than rumor. The connection is there, and it feels like this actually could be discussed.
So, yes, that's true. There definitely is a discussion. There was a rumor. There was no confirmation of this. There's a rumor that Karol was in Italy, like having dinner with the Salernitana players during this break, while after the Leagues Cup elimination. Don't know if that's true or not. May be true. Who knows? So what do you think they talked about? What do you think they ordered? That's obviously up for speculation. But what I do know is this. What had happened was it came out, the report to as of before this recording was that the offer that Salernitana 1919 made to the Z-Man, they called up the Z-Man down at AHPP and said, "Hey Z-Man, you think we could loan Karol Swiderski, and if he does really good, then maybe we'll give you some money for him for next year?" I mean, and I don't know if it's possible to bitch slap somebody through the phone lines, but I hope to God that Zoran Krneta gave the biggest bitch slap ever to whoever the fuck called our office and asked for a loan of Karol Swiderski, our best fucking player, because that's absolutely ridiculous. We're not going to loan Karol Swiderski to a third-tier Serie A team so they can have a relegation scrap. Give me a break. If they want to buy him, they want to pay $12+ million for him, then we can have a discussion. But until then, it's not happening. There's a few days left in the window. He could still move. We all know about how he wants to move. It's easier to move in the summer than the winter. I get it. I think he's going to stay. He's certainly not going to go to that shit club, Serie A, Salernitana.
Okay, so that's your Karol Swiderski update, and
on loan.
I think something else that I'm starting to maybe get a sense for here, Danny, is that there is something happening behind the scenes with Patrick Agyemang. Patrick Agyemang's contract is up at the end of December. His contract is not very good, and he certainly outperformed that contract. And I think that there could be some discussions ongoing between Patrick Agyemang, his team, and the club about a new contract here.
Yeah, there has to be. And I would be shocked if Zoran wasn't sitting down with Patrick Agyemang, maybe even as we speak, to like make it happen, because we got to lock this kid up. Whether or not we move from Karol this window, I do think this time next year, let's say, it's more likely than not that Karol Swiderski is not part of the club. So we need to start looking to our homegrowns, our one of our owns, and the guys that we're bringing up through the development program and locking them up long term.
And the reason why I feel good about this situation is because Patrick Agyemang to me seems like a kid who has got it between the ears, where he understands that his value as a player has never been higher than it is right now. And he's out of contract in December.
Which is not long, not far away, man. That's 3.5 months.
So you have to think about it in a way that he's being very smart.
Yeah.
Patrick Agyemang is being very smart. And this is an opportunity, I think.
Extend him.
I think Charlotte FC has a chance to give him a contract. Remember when Brad Bronico got a contract extension and a new deal after he played so well in that first season? It's time, I think, for Patrick Agyemang to reap those rewards as well.
I love that take. I think that's one thing we're lucky to have as a young club, is that we've never had a what the fuck extension, where like the club gave a bunch of money to a player and the fans were like, what? Like usually when the club dimes out and cheeses out a player, we're like, hell yeah, that player has earned it and deserved it. So Agyemang certainly fits that bill, and I hope that trait of our club never changes.
So, any other player updates? There's one player update I think that's important here, and that is, are the new signings available for Saturday night?
Gary Urinen.
And
Gary Urinen, yeah.
And Brecht.
Brecht definitely will be. I mean, he played some sub-action in Leagues Cup. He should be good. It's going to be interesting to see if he's in that starting 11. We heard from Scotty Arfield. Scotty does know it's competition, and he likes it. Yeah. He brought up competition well before either of us said that word, and so what's happening. I believe they played like an intra-squad scrimmage that was pretty full, like a real game atmosphere, rather than scheduling any friendlies. I know a lot of MLS clubs did like friendlies when they were eliminated for Leagues Cup. I think our guys just played against each other, but that's fine because there's a lot of competition, and the way for Latanzio and his staff to see these players going against each other is probably the right move right now.
Hearing you say that, it reminded me of Scott Arfield talking about freedom and his there's two words that I would take away from that interview: competition and freedom. And I'm just so disappointed I didn't get the time to follow up with how he felt about Scotland's relationship with England, their inclusion in the UK, and the future of the country and its partnership with the Crown. I think it would have been an interesting question to hear Scotty's thoughts on that.
I have to follow up on a future conversation that could be happening sooner than later.
So it's the Charlotte Soccer Show. We're not a political show, I promise you.
No, but I do want to urge everyone. Not that I need to at this point, but this is not like this is not doing anyone else a favor. This is doing yourself a favor. Go to the Brawny party. It's going to be a blast.
Oh yeah, good call. Yeah. Absolutely. Sunday at 2 o'clock.
Yeah, do the right thing for yourself. Hot fly, our pregame spot.
Yeah,
we'll
we'll tweet out the link to the event. You can find it all over the place, but it costs $10 to go to this party.
Yeah.
And those proceeds go to Beds for Kids,
right.
A great foundation.
Jeez. Imagine not wanting kids to have beds. You absolute sociopaths. Buy some damn tickets.
It's one of those things where the reason why I really like this charity is because it actually identifies something that is very just simple and crucial to the human experience.
Yeah.
Which is, at the end of the day, you want to be able to lay down on a nice mattress, and you want to be able to get a good night's sleep. And unfortunately, Danny, there's a lot of kids out there. There's a lot of families out there that are not given the opportunity to have that what we see as a simple part of human life.
Right.
Some other people see that as an absolute luxury. And the fact that this organization, and by the way, this organization does a lot more than just make sure kids and families have
all
beds.
kinds of like furniture, like needs and stuff like that.
Right.
It started with the beds, and it goes to. It's all about making people's day-to-day lives better, which is a charity I can get behind. Like I'm not huge on I love to help charities. I don't love to give to big slush funds that don't have like specific purposes. I love targeted donations that go to specific needs. For sure.
So the Brownie Bro party, the second annual now party, will be at Hopfly on Sunday. Hopefully after a Charlotte FC win. It's Brant Bronico bobblehead night on Saturday night too.
Right. So go get your bobblehead, then bring it to the party and get it autographed. There you go.
It sounds like I know somebody's going to be doing that. It's the Charlotte Soccer Show. Make sure you follow us on Twitter @ForTheCrownBaby. We shout out to a friend of the show, the graphic designer of our show logo,
Sean
Swaim, tremendous tifos, one of the original tifos on this show. We've got something special for you on our Twitter account here coming in the next few days. Let's post it on Friday.
Okay, yeah.
Let's,
if you listen to the last episode, then you have a clue, you have a hint as to where we're going with this. Let's just put it that way.
So we'll get that on the Twitter page on Friday. You can follow me @JohnHayesOnAir. You can follow Danny @DannyBrams as well. Any parting shots? Any final thoughts before we head into the weekend?
La 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 la. Scotty Arfield. I think I got that wrong, but I do love Scotty. Man, that guy was awesome.
Awesome to have Scott Arfield on the show. Really hope you enjoyed the interview. If you haven't had a chance to check out our interview with Darius Barnes, the Crown Legacy FC president, you don't have to do anything. Just let this episode end, and it'll start playing next.
Yeah. Next time we see Darius, we saw Darius today. Right after we talked to Scotty. We need to come up with like a special handshake with Darius. At this point, we're becoming fast old friends. So.
We'll see you on Saturday at Hopfly pre-match. We're definitely going to be pre-gaming there. We'll make sure that we are in the supporters end at the supporters bar during the pre-game as well, celebrating the Soccer City. It's going to be an amazing weekend of soccer. Now that the Premier League is back, now that all leagues across Europe are here as well, these weekends are just soccer weekends from start to finish.
My soul as well.
So we'll see you on Saturday, and we'll see you on Sunday this weekend. Until next time, it's the Charlotte Soccer Show. It's for the crown, baby.